All right, long balls here for Friday, February 28th, the last day of February. My name's Robert. He's Jason Davis. We are less than 48 hours after a United States women's national team loss. Can you believe it? It doesn't
I know.
happen very often. I think it's been exactly a calendar year since Emma Hayes' side lost the game. 2-1 defeat at the feet of Japan. Is this a time for the fan base to freak out, or kind of tip your hat to a really good Japanese side?
I think we should panic. I think we should all go running into the streets, screaming and yelling and lighting things on fire because the U.S. women lost the game. No, yeah, the context here matters. It's so weird. I don't want the U.S. women to ever lose a game, and I have I have a very elitist mindset when it comes to our women's national team. We're supposed to be the best all the time, no matter what. There should be no. Obviously, we had a World Cup that didn't go the way we wanted it to, but then we won a gold medal. We were back on top, and it's like, no one could beat. And then, of course, this is not. This is a process. This is not a finished product for Emma Hayes. She's working towards 2027. There were a number of players in this team who are either very young or had very few caps or both. And, Japan's good. Like that's the thing we should also remember. Japan is a very good soccer team. They are extremely technical. They have played together for a long time. Emma said it in her post-game comments that they have a core of veteran players who know each other and know how to play together. And to lose to them, there is no shame. But that also makes it feel like I'm saying it's okay we lost, or I'm accepting losing. And I don't accept losing, Robert, especially not in our tournament on home soil. First time ever that the U.S. women have lost to SheBelieves Cup. That stinks.
It's pretty wild that one thing that's encouraging, they lost the game, but that means they're on the cusp of a brand new winning streak. I mean, these losses don't come around very often, so the motivation, Emma Hayes probably won't let this sort of thing happen again, you'd feel. But the game itself, I tuned in a couple minutes after kickoff, and the Americans were already losing. Japan just absolutely stormed them at the beginning. The Americans hadn't found their foothold in the game at all, but I was impressed. They did kind of work through it and did work themselves back into the game. Found the equalizer, which was a good goal, and then the pendulum swung back again towards Japan before halftime. And so at halftime, you're like, wow, this is an incredible game. Any game that has the pendulum shifts, like Japan up early, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the American women, really, putting their, dictation to the game. Japan coming back before half. Emma Hayes, though, the one note, Emma Hayes' change at halftime didn't work, because the second half, Americans didn't really ever get their foot on the ball and put their stamp of authority on it at all. There was two halftime substitutions made. Crystal Dunn came out. Ali Sentnor came out. I'm trying to remember who came in at halftime, but it didn't have the desired effects, because the United States women's national team didn't really convince, or didn't really look like they were going to be the better team there in the second half against Japan.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. Like, how do you judge the progress here? I mean, again, we're 2 years away from a World Cup, 2+ years away from a World Cup. So should there be any panic over what the team looks like right now? Go ahead.
I was just going to add an additional note. The players that came in at halftime were Neiswanger and Jaden Shaw.
Yes,
Sentnor
right.
and Dunn.
Yeah, and there are several players in there that you figure might not be World Cup players, but they need to be getting a look now. I'm not saying I know which players those are, right? I'm not even sure that Emma Hayes knows which players those are yet. And again, you talk about the youth. You talk about Alyssa Thompson, who maybe didn't look all that great in that game. We talk about Lily Johannes, who is still a teenager. We are excited for their potential, but they are very young, and we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, well, they lost to Japan in a SheBelieves Cup final, essentially, and we can't have them. They're not good enough. That'd be a terrible mentality. And so it's up to Emma, who very much took a win at all costs kind of mentality at the Olympics, right? Like, what if you were paying close attention to the Olympic campaign, you know that was not sort of the full expression of Emma Hayes' football. That was just, let's get this done. Let's find a way to grind out results and win games and take a gold medal home. There's going to be some pain, some suffering between that and a World Cup in 2027 when they want to be a more cohesive unit and having introduced a bunch of new players, because obviously that Olympics kind of represented a last hurrah for a number of players, or the last big opportunity to win something for some players who may be replaced going into 2027.
I'm glad to see Emma Hayes, bringing in more players, and a loss now in the She Believes Cup is nothing compared to those future big tournaments that you're talking about in a couple of years. And her predecessor didn't transition well from aging players to the new generation, which led to his dismissal and Emma Hayes' introduction. You talked about Lily Johannes. She showed on Wednesday against Japan exactly what she was, really.
Yeah.
When she got on the ball, she was really silky smooth. Obviously, great technical ability, great presence in the midfield, great passing. But also, at the same time, she looked like a kid at times. Like, she got crowded out. Japan just swarmed to the ball. There were some moments where no American player had any sort of moment on the ball, which kind of maybe the formula to get at this team. I don't know if many teams can sustain that sort of energy and pressure on the ball like Japan did, which was really impressive. But Johannes kind of got crowded out of the game in the second half. She didn't really get the opportunity to get on the ball, look up, and pick out a good pass like she did in the first half. But obviously, really exciting. I can't wait to see more of her in an American shirt.
Yeah, it's a process. So let's all just calm down. We're not running in the streets. We're not lighting things on fire. We're not calling for Emma Hayes to be dumped. Right? We put faith in her. Again, she delivered a gold medal, which is a major tournament victory for the U.S. women, showing that the talent is at least there to get the job done in certain ways. But again, if we want this team to be closer to their rivals like Spain, like England, like the Netherlands, like Germany, etc., then there's going to be some growing pains. And I think, there is a technical level coming through with young players in the U.S. women's program that should allow us to play a football, a soccer that is capable of sticking with a Spain or a Japan, for that matter, later in the future.
They are back in action. The United States women's national team return with a pair of friendlies against Brazil in about 5 weeks' time in the first week of April. So not too much time to wait until the return to action for the women.